on to 5.4 quiz review. Starting with number 1, rewrite the equation f of x equals x squared minus 18x plus 81 in the form that reveals the minimum value. Then state the x and y coordinate of the minimum values. Okay, all right, starting with number 1, we're going to go ahead and here is our a, here's our b, and we're going to go ahead and complete the square with this. And in order to complete the square, we're going to think about what can our c value be. Okay, if you notice, this is already a perfect square because 81 is a perfect number, but we're going to go ahead and try to find our c value. So in order to find c, remember I take my b value divided by 2 and I square it. In case I didn't know that 81 was a perfect number. My b value in this case was negative 18 divided by 2, and I square it. And I get negative 9 squared, which is 81. So my c value is 81. So x squared minus 18x plus 81 inside, and outside I have that 81, and I'm going to go ahead and if I added 81 inside, I'm going to subtract 81 outside. Okay, I'm going to think about what did I have before I squared it. It was this right here. What did I have before I squared it? I had x minus 9 squared, and then 81 minus 81 is giving me 0. So this right here is now into vertex form. So up here we have standard form, and we went to vertex form by completing the square. Okay, so our vertex now, remember our vertex formula is a times x minus h squared plus k, where our h value and our k value is our vertex. So in this case, my vertex would be 9 and 0. Remember, this is h and this is k. Go ahead, number 2. Number 2 says, use the context of the problem for 2 through 4. A roller coaster designer is considering the possibility of using quadratic functions to model portions of a new roller coaster ride. The functions below represent the height of the roller coaster car at any time from the beginning of the ride. The height is in feet, and then time is in seconds. What I want you to do is to write the equation in vertex form, identify the vertex, and determine if it's max or min. Explain what the vertex means in the context. Okay, starting with number 1, these are all in standard. I want to go to vertex. Okay, so in order to go to vertex form, I'm going to take my equation. I know that I have a and b, but I need to factor out a 1, so I'm going to divide these two by negative 1. When I factor out a negative 1, I get x squared minus 4x plus the unknown minus 1. And then in order to find my c value, because remember this is a, this is b, I need to find c. C is going to be found by taking my b value, which is now negative 4, divided by 2, and I'm going to square it. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2 squared, and then this gives me 4. So my c value is 4, and if I add 4 inside, I need to subtract 4. And then I need to think about what did I factor out in the beginning? It was a negative 1. Okay, and then I'm going to think about what did I have before I squared it was negative 2, so this is just x minus 2 squared. Don't forget that we had that negative 1 when we factored it out. GMDOS tells me to do what first? It tells me to multiply and then subtract. So I get negative 1. Negative 4 times negative 1 is going to be positive 4. And then I do GMDOS one more time. I get negative 1 times x minus 2 squared plus 3. So this now is in vertex form. Okay, where this is easily able to tell me my vertex. Remember, our vertex is my h and my k. Vertex is always the opposite of h, so right now we have negative 2. It'd be positive 2, and my k value is 3. Okay, and if we were to graph this really quick, you could easily see what our max would be. So if I graph this really quick, let's think about, well, if I look at our function, we know it's a negative parabola because it's facing down. So if I go ahead and graph my vertex, here's 2, 1, 2, 3. We know that our function is going to look something like this if I sketch it. So this right here would be my max. Okay, so the max at 2 seconds, the coaster would be the height of 3 feet. That's what we know. All right, number 3. Here's our equation. We have x squared minus 12x plus 41. Again, this is standard form, so I want to go to vertex form by completing the square. I'm going to go ahead and take my a and my b, and I'm going to find c. So I have, in order to find C, I take my B value. This is A, this is B. I take my B value, negative 12, divided by 2, and I square it, where I get negative 6 squared, which is just 36, okay? So if I rewrite this, I have x squared minus 12x, and I found C to be 36, because that's a perfect square. And then we have our perfect square number, and then we have plus 41, and then whatever I do with what I found C to be, I'm going to subtract it outside. Okay, and this is where I get, what did I have before I squared it? I had x minus 6 squared, 41 minus 36, is going to give me plus 5. So now I'm in vertex form. So to go from standard to vertex, I'm going to complete the square. Okay, so again, I want to find my vertex. My vertex is this h value and my k value, where my vertex is 6 and 5. That's my vertex. Okay, and now I want to think about, is this a max or is it a min? So let's go ahead and sketch the graph really quick and see. Let's see. All right, we have 6. 6 is going to be somewhere here, and then 5 up here. So, and then we know that this is a positive parabola, so we know our function's facing up. So this has to be a min because we don't know our max, because it continues to go up to infinity. Okay, so we know our minimum is at 6 seconds. The coaster will be 5 feet high. Okay, we have h of x equals 3x squared minus 42 plus 158. Okay, I want my a value to be 1, so I need to factor out a 3. So I'm going to divide the first 2 by 3. I have 3 is factored out. X squared minus 42 divided by 3 is going to give me negative 14x, plus, I don't know my c value yet, plus 158. Okay, I need to find my c value by taking my new b value, which is negative 14, and dividing it by 2, and squaring it, where I get negative 7 squared is going to give me 49. Okay, so I'm going to add 49 inside and subtract 49 outside. But remember, I factored out a 3 in the beginning. Okay, so this is where I think about, what did I have before I squared it, which was this. I had x minus 7 squared plus, and I knew GEMDAS first, 49 times 3 is going to give me 147, and I still have 158. Okay, 49 times 3 is 147 because I have a negative, so it's negative 147. And then remember, I factored out a 3. GEMDAS tells me to do this, which when I add that or subtract it, I get 11. And then I'm left with 3 times x minus 7 squared plus 11. So this is now my vertex form. And again, these two represent my vertex. So my vertex in this case would be 7 and 11. Okay, that's my vertex for this problem. And now I want to think about my minimum max. I want to go ahead and try to sketch it. Let's go ahead. Here is my graph. We know that 7 is over to the right and 11 somewhere up here. So if I graph this, here's my point. And now I just need to think, is it facing up or is it facing down? If we look at my a value, it was positive, so we know that it's going to be an upward parabola. And we know that this has to be my minimum because our parabola continues to go up into infinity, so we don't know our max. Okay, so my minimum in this case, at 7 seconds, where the coaster is at 11 feet. Okay, number 5. It says graph the equation of the coordinate grid, include at least 2 points on each side of the line of symmetry. Okay, so here's number 1. I'm going to go ahead and bring down the problem right here. Y equals x squared plus 2x minus 1. Okay, I'm going to complete the square where I have a and b. I'm going to take and find c, so b divided by 2, so it's 2 over 2 squared, which is 1 squared, which gives me 1, is c. So when I rewrite this, I have x squared plus 2x. We found c to be plus 1, and we still have that minus 1 outside, and if I added 1 inside that I found c to be, I'm going to subtract 1. Okay, and I'm going to think about, what did I have before I squared it? It was 1. So I have x plus 1 squared. Negative 1 minus 1 is going to give me negative 2. So now here's my vertex form. Now, if I want to think about it, my vertex is going to be h and k. And in this case, we have h and we have k. Remember, it's always the opposite of h. So if I have positive 1, I have negative 1, and my k is going to be negative 2. Okay, but it asks us to graph. So if I make a table really quick, I'm going to have negative 1 and negative 2. Now, my axis of symmetry, my AOS, is going to be where my my x value is for my vertex. So in this case would be negative 1. So x equals negative 1. So I need to know this because it asked me for to graph 2 points past my axis of symmetry and 2 points on the other side. I'm going to choose 2 numbers above. So I'm going to go with 0 and 1, and 2 numbers below, which is negative 2 and negative 3. All I'm going to do is take each one of these and plug it into my equation. So if I have 0 squared plus 2 times 0 minus 1, this gives me 0 plus 0 minus 1, which should give me, hold on, let me do that again. Sorry. X squared plus 2x minus 1. If I plug in 0, I have 0 squared plus 2 times 0 minus 1. 0 squared is 0, plus 2 times 0 is 0, minus 1, which gives me negative 1. So all I'm doing is plugging these in individually. Sorry, I plugged in negative, or 0. Negative 1. If I do 1, I should get positive 2. Same thing. I can do this one by one, but I'm not going to sit here and do all of them. But I just want to show you one example. Okay, and now I'm going to graph this. We know that this is our center of our parabola, so that's our vertex. So if I go to graph it, negative 1 and negative 2 is somewhere here. And then I'm going to go ahead and graph. I'm going to go ahead and draw out my line of symmetry, or axis of symmetry. Here we go. Here it is. Now, I know that I want 2 points on this side and 2 points on this side, because the directions tells me 2 points, at least 2 points on my axis of symmetry. Where I have 0, negative 1, I have 1, 2. Okay, let me go ahead and graph. This is what my parabola should look like. Okay, they already gave me my vertex form, so I don't really have to go from standard to vertex. They give me my h is negative, or my h is negative 3, but it's the opposite, so it's 3, and my k is 1. So when I think about my vertex, let me write this down. My vertex is going to be the opposite of h, which is negative 3, which the opposite is 3, positive 3, and 1. So that's my vertex. So now I want to create a table where I have my vertex, my center of my parabola, which is this. So this is my vertex. My axis of symmetry is this number right here, where x equals 3. And then I want to think about 2 numbers above, which is going to be 2 and 1. 2 numbers past 3 is 4 and 5. And then when I plug them in, I should get 9 and 3, 3 and 9. And we'll go ahead and graph. I have 3, 1, so that's 1, 2, 3, and then 1. And then I have 2, 3, 4, 3, 5, and 9. And then I have 1 and 9. So my parabola should look something like this. And I'm going to go ahead and draw my line of symmetry. Remember, it's my x value of my vertex. And that is number 6. I want to describe the transformation that takes place in the graph of f of x equals x squared. That is our parent function. And then we have the function of g of x equals negative 2x times x plus 3 squared plus 11. Okay, so I want to go ahead and describe what it is that I'm seeing. We have a reflection. So when it's negative, we know it's reflected. So this negative tells me that it's reflected. Okay, and then we have our horizontal shift. So horizontal shift, and when you think about it, it's going to the left. Remember, it's opposite, so left by 3 units. Okay. We also know that my k value tells me my vertical movement, so vertical shift up by 11. And then this 2 tells me that I have a stretch by 2. It asks us to go ahead and complete the square with the following quadratic equations. Okay, here's my first one. Okay, I know that this is A, this is B. This is A, this is B. And I need to find C because 26 is not a perfect number. So I have A, I have B. I need to think about what is my C value. Okay, C is just B divided by 2 squared. So B in this case would be negative 14 over 2 squared. Negative 14 divided by 2 is 7, negative 7 squared. That is going to be 49. C is 49. So when I go to rewrite this, I have x squared minus 14x. I found my C value to be 49. And I have minus 26. I'm going to go ahead and, since I added 49 inside, I'm going to subtract 49 equals to 0. What did I have before I squared it? I had this right here. I had x minus 7 squared. Negative 26 minus 49 is going to go ahead and give me negative 75 is equal to 0. Now, they asked me to find my x values, so I'm going to go ahead and find my x values by adding 75 to the right side. That cancels out. I'm left with x minus 7 squared equals 75. I need to solve for x by taking the square root because the square root cancels out a square. I'm left with x minus 7 equals positive or negative 75. Remember that when I take a positive, or when I take the square root, I get a positive and negative solution. Okay, and then I need to add 7 to both sides to get x by itself. So I'm left with 7 plus or minus the square root of 75. But I'm not going to leave my answer like that because we learned how to rationalize a radical. Break down a radical. So 75, what number is going to 75? I'm going to go ahead and go with 25 and 3. Remember, my root is here is 2, and we have 5 and 5. So I need 2 numbers that repeat, that make a pair. And I have 5. 5 goes outside, where 3 stays inside. So my answers are x equals 7 plus or minus 5, the square root of 3. Alright, we have x squared plus 18x minus 36 equals 4. First thing I want to do is I want to set the equation equal to 0. So I need to subtract 4 over. I get x squared plus 18x minus 40 equals 0. I know that this is a and b. This cannot be c because I don't have a perfect number. Negative 40 is not a perfect number, so I need to find c, where I take my b value, divide it by 2, and I square it. In this case, my b value is 18 divided by 2 squared. 18 divided by 2 is 9 squared, which is 81. So I can rewrite this as x squared plus 18x. We found my c value to be 81 minus 40. And when I add 81 inside, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 81, set equal to 0. What did I have before I squared it? I had 9. X plus 9 squared. And then GEMDAS tells me to subtract negative 40 minus 81, which gives me negative 121, set equal to 0. Now, if you're getting confused on this part right here, remember, you can factor this out, and when I factor this out or multiply this out, I should get this right here, okay? So now I'm going to solve for x. I'm going to go ahead and add 121 to both sides. I get x plus 9 squared equals 121. And now I want to solve for x, take the square root on both sides because I'm trying to cancel out that squared. I get x plus 9 equals positive or negative. The square root of 121 is a perfect number, so then it should be 11. So I need to subtract 9 over to both sides, where I get x is equal to negative 9 plus or minus 11. This tells me I have 2 solutions. My first solution is where x equals negative 9 plus 11, and this also tells me that I have x equals negative 9 minus 11. In this case, this is going to be 2. In this case, this is going to be negative 20. So these are my 2 x values.